Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Can It Take a K26, the show where we take a variety of blasters and see if they can be upgraded using a K26 spring. I am your host, Captain Xavier, and today we're going to be going over some BuzzBee Revolvers, which are pretty much ubiquitous at Goodwill, right next to the ever-popular Maverick. And in addition to seeing if they can take a K26, at the request of a number of fans, I'm going to be discussing what blasters are actually good Goodwill finds for other purposes, for parts and so forth. So let's take a look at our first contestant, the Tech 10. At least I think that's what it's called. It's part of the whole BuzzBee Revolver Tech number line, and it holds 10 rounds. So I'm going to refer to it as the Tech 10, and if that's incorrect, I don't really care. So we're going to see if it can take a K26, and we're going to see what parts in it might be useful, even if it can't. Alright, well, nothing particularly surprising in here, but definitely I like the catch release mechanism. That speaks of a strong catch, but the plunger is one of the hollow ones, but seems to be of a slightly more rigid plastic than some of the ones we've seen previously. That is not, however, a particularly large plunger tube, but let's take a look at it. It is a tiny plunger tube. No K26 for this one. However, let's look at some of the other parts. Now this spring, while not particularly large, most of these tech blasters actually do have fairly good springs, and what's nice about them is the size. They tend to be roughly the equivalent or a little bit smaller than a lot of the Nerf springs, and so they will actually nest inside Nerf blasters, but we will get into some of the other ones a little bit later. But they can indeed be used in many blasters to augment the original spring. So they're generally not, strong enough to be a complete replacement, but because of the size, they can often be used in addition to. So that's what you have it. Other than that, there are, of course, screws. You can always use the screws. I have yet to really embrace the concept of using BuzzBee cylinders for absolvers because they have very poor barrels. This one, the barrel actually appears to be hexagonal, and the post goes up halfway up the barrel, and that is what is actually giving the barrel a tight seal. So very different than I usually work. This might actually work though. If you were to drill out the tops of the dart posts, you might be able to make a 10-round absolver out of this, but I think the Fury Fire is still going to be a better option. However, this one is obviously usually going to be a lot cheaper and easier to find at Goodwills. So you could make a 10-round absolver out of it. If nothing else, you can scrap it for screws and the large spring. So there's my advice. The Tech 10 is probably one I would give a miss to if you're not sure. Alright, that is no for the Tech 10, or whatever this thing is called. And I didn't bother to even try a spring upgrade because, quite frankly, I don't think it's was going to work given the size of the plunger tube and the rest of the internals. But it is a good potential spring donor. People do ask me where I get my massive bin full of springs. Well, these springs come from the corpses of the blasters that I kill, including a fair number of tech blasters, actually. So, on to the next contestant. Our next contestant is the TechSix. The first version of it, anyway. It's a 6-shot revolver. Top prime has kind of a weird arcing priming handle as opposed to a straight priming handle that you usually see. I'm kind of interested to see how that works. I've never actually opened up one of these to analyze as opposed to simply scrapping it for parts. So let's see if this thing can take a K26. You can't even take a screwdriver. All right. Well, ultimately, it's a fairly similar design, just pared down a little bit. Same kind of catch mechanism. Definitely strong catch mechanisms. I like the way they do their catches. I feel it's, in many ways, stronger than that of most Nerf blasters. Doesn't allow for things like slam fire, obviously, but as far as being mechanically sound, it works, and being able to take a heavy spring load, it works. Unfortunately, the blaster itself doesn't. And obviously not. Now, the TechSix spring is one of the more common cannibalized springs that I know of because it works in a lot of Nerf blasters, especially the smaller ones, things like Jolts and Triads and the Grip Blaster, things, the small bottom prime blasters tend to work very well because it's such a small diameter spring. And it is small enough that it will usually nest quite well with the stock Nerf spring, allowing you to double up the spring. I don't know that it works in the larger blasters, the magazine-fed blasters. I don't think I've heard anybody using them for that. You probably could, though. You know what? I might just see if I've got a plunger tube available. All right, well, here is a comparison of the TechSix spring and a Retaliator spring. I think the TechSix spring is honestly a little bit heavier, but it's also about an inch shorter. Maybe 3/4 of an inch. Which means it doesn't quite fit in the Retaliator. It is the same diameter, but you're going to get some spring rattle. It's also not the same frequency, so it can't be used to double up this particular gun, but it will work in lots and lots of other blasters, especially most of the one-shot blasters. So, all right, so besides the spring, what else is useful? Well, it has, of course, the standard screws. That's another thing people constantly ask, where do you get your screws? Again, I take them from the corpses of the blasters I kill, and so I have a great variety of screws in my screw bin. There are also a number of decent springs. There's a torsion spring, and a tension spring, 2 tension springs. They use tension springs on their triggers rather than compression springs for a lot of their stuff. And I'm not entirely sure why. But it's nice because when the gun comes apart, the springs don't go flying. Anyway, other than that, that's about all the good stuff. There's O-rings that are always useful. And it does actually have a padded plunger head, which is neat. So they're a good thing to pick up at Goodwill if they're, you know, $1.99, $2.99 maybe, because the spring is good in just about every single shot Nerf blaster. So, yeah, there you go. I've assembled it without the spring in it. Because I'm an idiot. Alright, that was a no for the TechSix for K26, and no for really any spring upgrade because it's really not worth the effort because the cylinders are so horrific. They're not even good for absolvers because they don't even have full barrels the whole way, so they're pretty much useless. They also have the barbed dart pegs, which destroy anything that isn't a BuzzBee dart. But as far as parts, it's got plenty of screws. It's got that good spring that's good for upgrading just about any single blaster, and a couple of lesser screws for that. So if you see them at Goodwill for $1.99, they're probably worth it just for the parts. On to the next contestant. Our next contestant is what I believe is just a RicheL of the TechSix, but that's never stopped me before. It's got a design much more similar to the Tech 10 looking thing I did first. So, who knows? Let's take a look, see what's going on in here. Well, the internals are a different color. But other than that, yeah. It's just a TechSix RicheL. Or the TechSix may be a RicheL of this. I haven't the foggiest idea. But plunger tube's the same. But, like I said, different colors, which is interesting. The other one, they were all black. This one, they're different shades of green and brown. And it actually does have a trigger spring. Couple of tension springs, 1 torsion spring, and the big compression spring. Other than that, good for screws, not good for absolvers. Let's put this thing back together. Alright, that's a no for this thing, but yes for all the same uses as far as parts go. On to the final contestant. Our next contestant is the Techfor. The Techfor is also a top prime revolver, but unlike the other ones, you have to manually rotate the cylinder. And similar to many BuzzBee blasters, the barrels are not actually solid, they're slit. So again, pretty much useless for absolvers unless you want to brass it, which is just not worth the effort. You're better off using something like a wizard. So let's get this thing open and take a look at the inside. I would be absolutely baffled if it could take the K26, but I've been wrong before. Alright, well that's about as simple as it gets. The spring is pretty much the same as in all of the Tech series, so it's good for the spring upgrade for your various blasters. It also does have one tapered compression spring that's actually fairly stout, which might be useful. But I'm going to backtrack on what I said about the cylinder, because I've noticed something that I didn't realize before. The whole indexing method is independent, which means if you were to put long barrels on this and make it rear-loaded on some kind of an absolver like IRE or whatever else that you make it modular and attach it to, you could then rear-load long barrels and have it be a singled 4-shot cylinder that's rear-loaded, and then you can self-index it. So that is, in fact, what I am going to do with this. I'm not even going to put this thing back together. I am going to make this into a modular 4-shot sniper attachment, because that's just pretty darn cool, actually. So there you have it. The Techfor serves a beautiful purpose for us modular nuts. I'm going to finish scrapping it for parts, take all of its screws. Alright, for those of you keeping score at home or who just skipped to the end to see the results, that was a no for the Tech 10, a no for the TechSix, a no for the RicheL TechSix, and a no for the Techfor. So, not a good episode as far as being able to take a K26 is concerned, but all of these are actually fairly decent finds at Goodwill as far as parts, because the springs are excellent for upgrading any number of Nerf blasters. So if you see them at Goodwill for $1.99, I would say they're actually worth it, both for the screws and for the springs, and for some applications, the shells. And the Techfor, I'm going to do some interesting things with its revolver, I'm hoping. We'll see how that turns out. Stay tuned for that. So, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for future episodes, corrections that you want to make, if you're going to make a correction, read the description, because it's most likely 20 other people have already made said correction, and I've put a note on it in the description. So check there before commenting anything like that. But other than that, put your comments in the comments below. I love reading them, and I definitely look for blasters that you guys recommend at Goodwill so that I can do the episodes that you're wanting to see. So go ahead and make your suggestions, and thank you for watching. If you're watching this, you have reached a super special bonus round. I have, as of today, reached 25,000 subscribers, which is absolutely baffling to me. I never thought I'd get anywhere near this big. And it is due entirely to you guys, because you are the subscribers. So thank you for watching my videos, for sharing my videos, for telling your friends about my videos, and for helping my channel grow. Thank you for all the fan letters, thank you for all the free stuff you guys have sent me, thank you for all the encouragement and the suggestions that I use in my videos. It's been fantastic, and I can hope that I could get to continue to do this for a good long while. But now for the reason that we're really here. The giveaway. The first person to send the correct answer to my Etsy page will receive either a non-electronic pistol modified however they would like it, or I will accept a commission from them. Now, they still have to pay for the commission, but since I haven't been accepting any commissions for at least the last 5 months, this is kind of a big deal. We can negotiate exactly what you want, and what I will and won't do. There will still be some limits, but this is a chance to get a commission from me. Here then is the question. Identify the symbol on the shirt that I am wearing in Bricks and Wheels in my last LEGO video. And just so I don't have to wade through 25,000 incorrect answers, I will give you one clue. It has nothing to do with The Legend of Zelda. Good luck, and once again, thank you so much for everything that you guys have done to make this channel what it is. You guys.